Hardtalk India. After 10 unbroken years in power, my guest faces a make-or-break election. If he wins, he could go on to become one of the Congress Party's most important political leaders. But if he loses, it could be the end of his own political career. So how is he facing up to this challenge? That perhaps is the central question I shall put today to the Chief Minister of India's Madhya Pradesh state, Digvijay Singh. Chief Minister, with less than 3 weeks to the elections and all the polls predicting your defeat, are you resigned to losing power?
No question. Even last election, 98, everyone had written me off, but I came back.
But in the last election, you were a man who people still believed in. This time round, you face an electorate that has seen through you.
I beg to differ on that. They still believe in me.
Your own Deputy Chief Minister Subhash Yadav, as far back as May, predicted that the government could lose this time round.
He has changed his mind now. He's supporting me, and he is convinced that we are going to come back to power.
But after 10 years, don't you believe that the electorate will want to change? It's only natural that they'll want a new face.
Change for what? Change for better or worse?
Change for the sake of change.
This has been tried twice in Madhya Pradesh. Once in 1977 when they brought Janata Party, and within 3 years they realized their mistake and brought Congress back. Again they tried in 1990. They realized their mistake and brought back Congress Party in 1993. So people are convinced that it's better to have a known person who has the experience and who has the capacity to lead a state which has performed in the last 10 years rather than try a new face.
In other words, you're saying that the people of Madhya Pradesh don't have a credible alternative to you?
You can say that, but why should they look for an alternative when the performance of the state government has been appreciated not only by Government of India, international agencies and the people of Madhya Pradesh?
You know, it's interesting you should come to performance, because the opposition say that the performance of the state government has been a disaster. They've even christened you Mr. Destruction. What's your verdict on your performance?
You don't expect them to sing my praises, do you? In fact, most of the ministers, central ministers who came to Madhya Pradesh in the last 4 years, they were all praised for me. Only in the last 6 months they've started speaking against me. Even Planning Commission has been very appreciative of our efforts. All indicators that we have, whether it's in the literacy or the health indicators or employment, everywhere Madhya Pradesh has done exceedingly well.
Okay, you're talking about indicators, then let's bring up some indicators. After 10 years of running Madhya Pradesh, the Planning Commission's Human Development Indicator ranks you as 12th out of 15.
Yes.
India Today puts you as 15 out of 19, and the Rajiv Gandhi Institute, run very closely by your own party's leader, gives you a ranking of just D. Those are appalling indicators.
See, first of all, Planning Commission has upgraded our ranking from 13th to 12th. Number 2.
But can I interrupt you?
Yes.
During that same period, they upgraded the ranking of Rajasthan from 11 to 9. Yours is a marginal up-ranking.
You see, but you must realize the Madhya Pradesh was a much larger state when the ranking was done. It was unified Madhya Pradesh. Number 2. As far as the India Today this thing is concerned, I don't give much credence to that.
Then come to the Rajiv Gandhi Institute. You can't deny that credibility.
That also has not yet been published, and even the authors have denied as
Oh, the authors aren't denying it. The facts and figures were given to the CII, who commissioned the report,
yes,
and
but
in fact,
it's not been
composite
published.
ranking is D.
It's not been published.
Does that
and
matter?
Does
that matter?
There's a contradiction in its own forward. They have said in their own introduction that Madhya Pradesh is out of the Bimaru states.
Okay, let's look closely at the eradication of poverty, which has to be the real challenge that you face.
Yes.
In the period 93 to 2000, whereas 39 million people rose above the poverty line nationwide, in Madhya Pradesh, 2.6 million additionally fell below it.
No. If you see the percentage, it's never the numbers, it's the percentage of population.
We're talking about 4% of the population that you inherited in 93.
See, 42% people were below poverty line. In the last sense, this thing gives about 37%. So there's a reduction of 5%.
Chief Minister, in absolute numbers, the facts and figures go against you. If you want to argue in terms of percentages to give yourself a small measure of relief, remember, you're one of the 3 worst states. Only Bihar and Orissa are worse.
it's not correct, because we have improved our Human Development Index. In fact, some of the southern states have fallen back on their Human Development Index, while Madhya Pradesh has improved.
You say you've improved. Do you know what Pramod Mahajan says?
Yeah.
He says it's probably the only state in India where at the end of 10 years of his governance, the per capita income has risen by just 26 rupees in real terms.
See, if you see the literacy levels, our literacy levels have jumped 20 points. Our literacy levels in Madhya Pradesh are higher than Andhra Pradesh. Our male literacy is more than Karnataka,
So
Haryana,
your
and
people
Punjab.
are more literate, but they're poorer.
I'm coming to that. Our health indicators have improved. Our infant child mortality rate has decreased at a much faster rate.
Quite right. So they live longer, but they live poorly.
1 second, let me finish. The rate of decline has been much higher than the national average. Our population growth has declined much faster than the national average. Our children below the children who are affected, malnourishment, have decreased much higher.
Minister, pause and consider what you're saying.
One more thing. Our employment rate is higher than the national average.
Chief Minister, consider what you're saying. Your people are more literate, they live for longer, but they live in poorer circumstances. Isn't this why 38% of your population has said that they feel worse off under you than they did before you came to power?
Which survey are you talking of?
The India Today survey, recent issue.
India Today survey is confined to urban areas. They don't go to rural areas. And the survey, when this was conducted, it was during the monsoon. And most of my area is cut off during the monsoon.
So you're saying to me that all these indicators, whether we're talking about the Planning Commission, whether we're talking about the RGI,
Planning Commission surveys are more scientific.
Therefore, they're right or wrong?
They are right.
Therefore, the falling of your standard is a worrying concern.
No, it is not. Our Human Development Index is improved. Our per capita...
But when everyone's is improved by 2 or 3, yours is just improved by 1.
Per capita income has also increased. So
by 26 rupees in real terms, Pramod Mahajan says.
You see, the point that you are trying to make is, in 1 year, that is the year which they all try to make. Because in that particular year, our growth rate was negative. Out of the 10 years I've been in power, 9 years, our growth rate has been more than 6%. Now, 2000-2001 was one of the worst drought years in Madhya Pradesh, where we had a negative growth rate. So whenever they see that in the span, they take that worst year, not the best year.
Okay, then let's turn and concentrate instead on the issues that worry the people of Madhya Pradesh, not scientists and not economists. Okay. And the first of these issues is the question of power. The opposition says that Madhya Pradesh had 24 hours of full electric supply when you came to power.
No, that's wrong. That's wrong. There used to be power cuts in 1992
of
also.
half an hour or an hour at the most.
More than that.
Today you're leaving the state at the end of 10 years with a 30% shortfall.
No, my per capita consumption of energy has increased from 54 million units to about 90 million units now.
But why has your supply gone down by 30%?
My supply has gone up, the consumption has gone up, the consumers have increased.
Today you have power cuts that stretch up to 6 to 12 hours. Students studying for exams were complaining because they didn't have electricity.
It's not correct. It's not correct. In no city we've had power cut for more than 1 to 2 hours at night. During the monsoon, there was no power cut.
Can I quote to you what your second Deputy Chief Minister Jamuna Devi has said? She says, everyone knew that Chhattisgarh would be a separate state and we would lose power when Chhattisgarh happened. We didn't cater for it. We made that mistake.
Yes,
You accept you made that mistake?
1 second. I'm just trying to explain. We thought that the private investment in the generation would come. That unfortunately did not come because no financial institution was prepared to...
So that was misjudgment on your part?
Misjudgment on everyone's part.
No, hang on a moment. Not everyone's part. This was misjudgment on the Chief Minister's part.
1 second. Government of India, when they brought in power reforms, they concentrated on investments in the generation, private investment generation. That did not really come up because the Enron did not really take off.
Let's not bring up Enron, let's not bring up the government of India. You are the Chief Executive of Madhya Pradesh. You are responsible for providing power to your state. You relied upon private sources that didn't realize themselves.
To an extent, yes. We did make investments in public...
not to an extent. No new power projects have been commissioned in your state for the last 8 years.
It's not correct. Our 500 megawatt power plant, 250 megawatt power plant came up in 96, 97. Our hydel power station of Rajghat came into generation.
And you signed 22 MOUs with
Yes,
private parties, and
I
not
did.
one of them have fructified.
Because they could not raise their equity.
But this
They could not go for their financial closing.
But this was misjudgment on your part to put all your eggs in the private sector basket.
No, we did make investments in the hydel power stations in the public sector, and they are now on the verge of completion.
At the moment when you have a shortfall of electricity and face elections and the people are complaining that they don't have light to study for exams.
That's not factually correct, because we have provided power, we have bought additional power, and power cuts have been minimized.
Power cuts have been minimized.
Yes.
That's the euphemism we are going to insist on.
Exactly. When there is shortage of power, we have to distribute power between the rural and the urban areas.
40% of your power is given away free at a time when you have a severe shortfall and you don't have adequate new supply coming online.
See, that is the discretion of the state governments.
But it's mismanagement.
It's not mismanagement. We are subsidizing that sector, the electricity board, through our own budget.
So in other words, you're choosing who you want to favor and you're choosing who you want to disfavor.
That right of discretion lies with the state government.
You call it a right of discretion, to put people and students in the dark. That's a right of discretion.
To give more power to the rural areas and the farmers and the weaker sections.
Chief Minister, the second issue that people seem to be exercised about at the moment is what they call the state of Madhya Pradesh's roads. While desert states like Rajasthan have connectivity of 49% and hill states like Himachal have connectivity of 48%, yours is just 36%.
That is a historical thing which I have inherited. And we have a problem because most of the state has got a forest cover. We have problems in, first of all, in constructing roads to the forest, number one. Number two, we've got a black cotton soil, which does not really, is not very good soil to have a very good roads. And the third thing is that we have, our investment in road sector has not been very much in the last few years.
Forgive me, when you say not very much, it's actually diminished. Your budgetary figures show that between 2000, 2001 and 2003, it fell by 36%.
I would like to correct you on that. Our investment has gone up in the road sector, but in the through the mandi roads. We have put a cess of 85 paisa per 100 on agriculture commodities, and we are investing about 100 crores a year.
Chief Minister,
on
the
that.
critical point is that at a time when the condition of roads in Madhya Pradesh is the bane of everyone's life, your budgetary allocation on maintenance of roads has gone down by over 30%.
See, our maintenance of the roads, the budget, has been the same. We have put in more money through the Kisan roads, number one. Number two, we have brought private investment in our BOT roads.
Let me quote to you what you said to the Indian Express on January the 23rd, 2003. You said, "It's true, we did not invest in roads." Suddenly today, you're trying to weasel out of the very facts you've been presenting yourself.
We have invested in the roads in the private sector and in the mandi sector. At the same time, our investments in the road has gone up now. And
now, because you face elections, because you face
we have been working on that since last 4 years. In fact, our first tender got issued in 2001, but unfortunately, there were not enough good contractors.
Can I quote M.N. Butch, one of the most senior people in your state and a retired civil servant? He says that to drive from the capital Bhopal to cities like Indore and Jabalpur is a pain.
I would like you to travel on these roads and give your certificate.
The thing is that you probably fly on these roads on helicopters, which is why you don't know what the situation is like.
Things have changed. You can drive to Indore in 3.5 hours. You can drive to Jabalpur in 5.5 to 6 hours.
Chief Minister, let me put to you what your own electorate says. They say he failed to understand the shortfall in electricity when Chhattisgarh was created. He failed to invest in roads. Poverty levels are rising. His per capita income is stagnating, and the overall standing of the state is falling. Why should they vote for you?
These facts which you are giving are not correct. Our social indicators have improved. Our human development index has improved. Our per capita income has increased.
Then why don't people realize this in their lives?
They are, and you will see the result on 1st of December.
Why do 38% of your population feel that things have got worse under 10 years of Digvijay?
That again, you are totally relying upon India Today surveys. Now, India Today is not an authority.
Isn't this why today you're busy doling out freebies and subs to every sector of the population that you can find?
That I have done in the last 5 years, in the last 10 years. Wherever we felt the certain section of people deserve to be helped, as a special case, we've
Look
done
at
it.
the things that you've done in the last 1 year. You've given free power to small farmers.
Yes.
You've given government land, grazing land to Dalits. You've
Yes.
doubled the reservations for the backward caste.
Yes.
And you've legalized illegal colonies in Bhopal.
That was a part of an election manifesto which I have implemented.
These were things that surely you're doing today because you realize that your track record won't stand scrutiny.
It's not correct, Karan, because I have delivered what I had promised. We had promised government distribution of land to Dalits. I have done that. I had promised them free power. I have given it to them. I had promised higher reservation for OBC. I have done that. I have delivered what I had promised. I had also promised them that illegal colonies would be regularized.
You know,
and which state has not done it? Tell me. Delhi has done it. We have done it. So it's not. And whom are we helping? We are helping those who deserve to be helped.
The tragedy is that 5 years ago you had built a good name for yourself in terms of women's empowerment, literacy, panchayati raj. Today, because of the condition of roads, because of the condition of electricity, all of that is forgotten.
You may have forgotten it, but not the people of Madhya Pradesh.
You won international awards, but in the dark of their homes, they can neither see it nor wish to recognize
They
it.
will, and you will see the results on December 4th.
You know what your admirers say, and I admit that once upon a time you had many. They say it's not his sops, it's not his freebies that we find most depressing. What is disillusioning is his conversion to what they call soft Hindutva. They say today he is using BJP tactics to stay in power.
It's absolutely wrong.
You deny it completely?
Totally deny it. Because
Unequivocally?
unequivocally.
Then pause a moment and tell me, what was your aim when this January you wrote to the Prime Minister calling for necessary action for a nationwide ban on calf slaughter? You were wrapping yourself in Hindu colors.
No. First of all, let me tell you, there is no harm in being a Hindu. I am a Hindu and I am a devout Hindu.
But I'm talking about using Hindu positions for political purposes.
Would you allow me to please finish my sentence? First of all, there is no such thing as Hindutva. This is a word which was coined by Mr. Veer Savarkar. And this was more as a racial supremacy rather than a religion. Therefore, there is no such thing as soft Hindutva. Religion is a very important part of our Indian
You're being clever,
ethos.
Chief Minister. Everyone in the country knows today what Hindutva is. Don't deny its existence.
I deny its existence.
How can you?
Because it has no relevance. It has no relevance.
Campaigns on it.
It has no relevance to religion. This is what I'm saying. This is pseudo-religious term which the BJP is trying to exploit the majority community of this country.
But we're not talking about the validity of the term Hindutva or its philosophy. We're talking about the using of religion for political purposes. Weren't you doing that when you wrote to the Prime Minister?
They were accusing me of cow slaughter in Madhya Pradesh, which had been banned since 1959. So I got a representation to say that the Commerce Ministry has said in their document that the production of beef has gone up. So I simply forwarded their memorandum to Honorable Prime Minister.
No, you didn't simply forward it. Let me quote to you a sentence from your last paragraph. You wrote, "This is a central subject, therefore this petition is being sent to you in original for necessary action."
Yes.
What was the necessary action you had in mind?
For whatever it's worth.
What do you mean for whatever it's worth? What did you want the PM to do?
I simply forwarded the memorandum that came to me that the production of beef has gone up in the country.
No, you called for necessary action.
This is what I'm saying.
What action had you in mind?
For whatever it may be worth.
Now, you can't admit it now because you suddenly realize that the necessary action you had in mind was in fact a nationwide ban on cow slaughter.
That's a state subject which we have been saying all this
Except that you began your letter by saying this is a central subject, so you even contradict yourself on that.
Well, that is a state subject.
But you called it a central subject. I'm reading your letter to you.
Well, I don't have a copy of that letter, so I can't sort of
take you on. This is the sentence. Let me repeat it. This is a central subject, therefore the petition is being sent to you in original for necessary action.
The Commerce Ministry's production figures of beef was certainly a central subject.
What about the necessary action calling for a nationwide ban? That's what the petition wanted.
No, I never said nationwide ban.
No, because you were clever in wording it craftily, but that's really what you were hoping for.
That is what politics is.
You know, Chief Minister, so that is what politics is. Now you concede that in a clever and crafty way, you were deploying issues like cow slaughter and religion for political purposes.
I was not, because BJP has been doing all these years, so I was putting the mirror before their faces.
Ah, you were using their tactics.
I was simply putting
You're
the mirror on
conceding
before
the
their
point.
face.
You're conceding the
I
point.
am, because I was putting the mirror before their
Thank
face
you.
that
You-
this is what you are.
Thank you. You just said, I am conceding the point. And in fact, this is not the only instance. At the Nashik Kumbh Mela, you went out of your way to publicly display your own personal piety. Once again, you wanted the world to see you as a dutiful Hindu because you thought it would have political benefits.
I beg to differ on that. We have a Simhas coming in 2004, and it is a natural thing in the state government officials or the nominee of the chief minister usually go to invite these akhadas. Last time, Mrs. Rajmata Scindia went at the behest of the then chief minister. So I thought, why shouldn't I go? I went.
And you went to the akharas after a drip, wet in a dhoti. You bowed to them in that condition. Something that most congressmen would openly consider the use of religion for political purposes.
What objection would anyone have to that for my own personal religion or my personal belief?
Except that your admirers say this sort of thing he would never have done earlier.
I would have done earlier also, because I am a devout Hindu and I shall remain so.
They say this is
and
a
there is no
sign
bar.
There is
no question of desperation. I just want to take the BJP on this issue head on, because they are not religious. They use religion for politics and raising money and communal
But
feelings.
a moment ago you said, when you said to me you were holding up a mirror, you said, yes, I concede that I too am doing the same thing, except in a clever way.
No, I said I wanted to show them their faces in their own mirror.
By using religion yourself for your own purposes?
No, not for my own purpose, but to sort of make their religious whatever they have, that bearance.
Are you surprised that your admirers turned around and say, he's just a paler shade of the BJP?
I'm sorry, I'm not that. The kind of fight that I've taken up the fundamentalist forces, whether it's the Hindu fundamentalists or the Muslim fundamentalists, I have taken them head on, and I've not allowed them to grow.
A few months ago,
even after Godhra and Ahmedabad, not a single Muslim house was disturbed in Madhya Pradesh.
A few months ago you said that if you were to be defeated in the elections on December the 1st, you would never hold another post for 10 more years. Do you stand by that?
I stand by that.
What does it mean when you say you won't hold a post for 10 years?
Because I say that the kind of support that I've received from my Congress president and my Congress party the last 10 years, if I can't deliver, in spite of the fact they supported me totally, it is my moral duty to allow some other people to work if I've not delivered.
So you won't be the leader of the opposition if you lose the chief minister's job in December?
First of all, this won't happen.
But come back to my question. If you lose the chief minister's job, will you serve as leader of the opposition?
No.
Will you continue to be an MLA or will you resign your seat?
I will continue to be MLA for the next 5 years, but I will not contest the next election.
But that is a post you're holding. That's not one you're going to resign from.
That I am holding on the fact that I'm winning the election. That is the electorate's mandate in my favor, so I have to serve them for the next 5 years.
In an interview in October, you said that if you were defeated, it would prove you had been incompetent.
I agree.
You agree?
Yeah.
So defeat will determine your competence.
Exactly.
So if defeated, the 10 years in power will be incompetently spent.
No, usefully spent.
But then how can you say you will be incompetent?
Is politics the only thing?
Usefully spent,
yes,
but incompetent in terms of the results for the state.
Yes, that would prove my incompetence if I don't deliver.
Mr. Digvijay Singh, it's not just your future as Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh that's at stake. Many people say that if the Congress party were in a position to form a government after the next general elections, you could be in running for the job of Prime Minister. But if you get defeated in December, those hopes would be scotched.
Number one, I would never be in the run because I'm too state focused. That's why my vision is totally focused on the state Madhya Pradesh. So that is out. But as far as the other part is concerned, I stand by what I've said.
But all those supporters of yours who say that a third-time successful Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh would be the ideal choice for Prime Minister will have to accept that if he's defeated, he can never hope for that job.
First of all, I'm very grateful to if my supporters say that, but I don't subscribe to that.
Would you accept that the elections you face on the 1st of December are a make or break situation for you?
Exactly.
And do you think you're going to make it, or will you be broken?
I'll make it.
You sure those aren't famous last words?
Absolutely, I'm certain that I'll make it.
Then we have 10 seconds. Tell me, How many seats will you win?
Between 125 to 135.
And you sure you won't want to eat those words in 3 weeks' time?
I hope. I'm not.
Hope only?
I'm convinced also.
You're confident?
Yeah.
Mr. Digvijay Singh, a pleasure having you on the show.
My pleasure.